How do I stop obsessing over intrusive thoughts? What if my family gets into an accident? What if I hurt others? This place is infected and I could get ill. What if I do something irrational, like jumping out in front of this train? What if I have thoughts about harming myself? What if someone is watching me? So why do people get intrusive thoughts? Why do intrusive thoughts feel so scary? Do intrusive thoughts ever go away? Majority of people experience intrusive thoughts. So intrusive thoughts are normal, and their content varies. That can be thoughts like, what if I hurt someone without knowing? What if I said something bad, but I don't remember what it was? Intrusive thoughts can also be doubts, like, what if my partner is cheating on me? Or they can be feelings like disgust, anxiety, or dread. Or they can be urges like wanting to go away or an urge to move around different body parts or rearrange objects. And they can also be images that have either violent, sexual, or even bizarre content. Now, most people are able to shake these thoughts off and move on with life, while others take their intrusive thoughts very seriously. If someone takes their intrusive thoughts very seriously, they will do a lot of different things to try to get rid of the thoughts, especially if they think that the outcome of this thought or the content of this thought is dangerous or harmful somehow. So the question is, why do we react so differently to intrusive thoughts? Why do some people shake them off so easily and just move on, while others experience so much distress and discomfort by having their negative intrusive thoughts? According to metacognitive therapy, the difference is due to a belief that thinking certain thoughts makes them true. So just because I think that this table is contaminated, then it must be contaminated because I feel that way and I think that way. This is called a metacognitive belief. A metacognitive belief is a belief about the way we think, about the way the mind works, and about our emotions. So if someone has a metacognitive belief that thinking this thought makes it true, well, not only do they take this thought seriously, but they also do a lot of things in order to neutralize the thought or try to get rid of that. So let's say if someone has intrusive thoughts about contamination, they will do a lot of different things to feel better and get rid of that thought. For example, they will start engaging in prolonged washing and cleaning rituals in order to feel better and make that thought go away. If someone has an intrusive thought, I am being observed without knowing, they will start worrying a lot about the consequences of that thought coming true, while others seek excessive reassurance from friends and family in order to calm themselves down and make that thought go away. Again, some people also avoid places and situations that can trigger these intrusive thoughts. For example, if someone is suffering from intrusive thought, what if I stab my partner? They will avoid going to the kitchen or to places where there are knives or be around their partner when sharp objects are around. However, all of these strategies and effort that are put into wanting to get rid of intrusive thoughts only perpetuates the problem. So the more someone worries about their intrusive thought, the worse they're going to feel, the more anxious and distressed they're going to feel, but also their intrusive thoughts increase in frequency. And if these strategies are used excessively, this can lead to developing a disorder called OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So the more effort that is put into getting rid of intrusive thoughts, the worse someone is going to feel. The more effort you put into trying to get rid of your intrusive thoughts, the worse you're going to feel in the long term. Maybe it helps you to neutralize a thought in the short term, but in the long term, you develop a very strained relationship with your intrusive thought. You get scared of having intrusive thoughts. So another question is, what makes some people believe so much in their intrusive thoughts and having these beliefs about their thoughts being true, while others don't? According to studies, this happens very randomly. According to a study testing people's relationship with their intrusive thoughts, asked a bunch of volunteers to come into a laboratory and be connected to a wire which they thought was going to give them an electric shock if they thought about a green apple. Now, these volunteers were also measured on how they physiologically responded, how distressed and anxious they felt while they were doing the experiment. When the study ended, the participant reported that they felt very distressed about having thoughts of apples, and they even experienced having these thoughts long after the study was over. And the researchers found out that the people who were told that they would get an electric shock if they experienced thoughts of an apple experienced more frequent thoughts of green apples compared to the participants who were not told anything about receiving a shock if they experienced thoughts about green apples. Now, of course, they were not receiving electric shock, but the study's purpose was to test how people's relationship with thoughts change if they are told that certain thoughts are dangerous. And this also proves that people can very randomly and very quickly pick up beliefs and ideas about thoughts that may not be true. And this is the case for people who suffer from OCD or who struggle with their intrusive thoughts. They have developed a strained relationship with their thoughts thinking that thoughts are dangerous and thoughts are true just because they come up in their minds. If people learn that intrusive thoughts are dangerous and harmful, they can also unlearn that and have a more relaxed relationship with their thoughts. And this is the goal of metacognitive therapy, not to help people directly get rid of their negative intrusive thoughts, but to have a relaxed relationship with their thoughts. And this is primarily done by changing this belief that thinking something makes it true. Just because I think my partner is going to cheat on me, it doesn't make it true. Just because I think that this place is infected, that this is true. Just because I think that something bad happened, even though I don't remember it, that this is true, because I'm doubting myself. So if someone has intrusive thoughts about this place is infected, the problem is not that this place is infected, but the fact that they have a thought that they believe is true about this place being infected. So once that distinction is made, the next step is to learn to leave these thoughts alone and not reacting to them. Not reacting to intrusive thoughts means that you acknowledge that the thought is there and it's unpleasant, but you postpone or decide not to react to it by analyzing, worrying, avoiding, doing rituals, or seeking reassurance just because this thought comes up. A good way to think of that is by imagining that you are a fish that swims around in the water and a hook comes down that's very tempting for you to bite on. However, if you bite that hook, you chew on that hook, you'll be hooked forever and it will be difficult for you to unhook. Leaving intrusive thoughts alone is you swimming around the hook and not biting onto the hook, although it's very tempting. Although intrusive thoughts are uncomfortable, distressing, and tempting to go in and try to neutralize, you can decide not to react to them, or at least postpone reacting to them for some time. People experience that once they start treating their intrusive thoughts that way, they develop a more relaxed relationship with these thoughts. So whenever these thoughts come up in the future, they don't feel so distressed by them, and they don't have a strong urge to go in and get rid of them or neutralize them. That also leads to less time spent worrying about intrusive thoughts, less time spent neutralizing and doing rituals and seeking reassurance. And that is the way to recover from obsessive-compulsive disorder in metacognitive therapy. So if you're struggling with intrusive thoughts and trying to get rid of them has not worked for you so far, perhaps it's time to employ a different strategy. And that would be not to react to intrusive thoughts just because they come up. My clients usually find out that the longer time they resist responding to the thought, the more experience they get that nothing bad happens. So let's say you experience intrusive thoughts about something bad happening to your family or your spouse getting into an accident, and you decide not to respond to that thought with worrying, imagining catastrophic scenarios, or texting them obsessively. You'll soon find out that there's no connection between having thoughts in your mind and reality. So just because you experience an intrusive thought that my spouse gets into an accident, it doesn't mean that this thought comes true just because you think about it. And that way you gain more and more experience that there's no connection between having intrusive thoughts and feeling terrible and reality. So try this at home. The next time you experience intrusive thoughts, decide not to respond for the next 5 minutes. And not responding means you just acknowledge that it's there and it's uncomfortable, but you leave it alone in the back of your mind. And meanwhile, you just move on with the things you were doing anyway. So let's say you were walking around the house, planning to go outside, go for a walk, and suddenly the thought comes, this is contaminated. You can decide not to respond to that thought by starting cleaning or avoiding or washing, but just move on with your day and go on that walk anyway. Do that with most of your intrusive thoughts and see what happens and whether your relationship to these thoughts change over time. Thank you for watching.